Good afternoon. So we are releasing our inaugural Amazon advertising forecast for 2019 today and presenting some of the data that we found with you here today exclusively for the first time. So we are very excited about this, and there's been a lot, obviously, of discussion and hype about Amazon advertising. They're here exhibiting. And what we really wanted to understand was what is the opportunity potential for agencies, for practitioners, for tool providers, essentially the ecosystem that's represented here in this conference. And so we conducted some research in August and have the results to share with you today. Before we do that, though, before we get into the survey details, I'm just going to set a little context in terms of how Amazon's advertising business is performing. So it's in the context of all things Amazon, advertising still doesn't have its own line item. Actually, it's reported as an other category. Advertising makes up the bulk of that, but there is no advertising line on the earnings sheet. So in the last 2 quarters, what has stuck out is the growth that we are seeing. So Amazon's other category has topped $2 billion in the last 2 quarters. And what's more interesting, though, is the growth rate. So you're seeing triple-digit growth in the last 2 quarters, and that's coming off of 3 quarters of mid-double-digit growth, which is nothing to sneeze at, but those 2 quarters really stood out. And a lot of people are talking about Amazon potentially being able to challenge the duopoly of Facebook and Google, but we're going to put that in a little bit of perspective first. So if you stack up the last 4 quarters of Google, Amazon, and Facebook, you can see that there's still quite a ways to go. Another view of that is Amazon has 4% market share when you're stacked up against Google and Facebook. But what really stood out to us in our research was the runway ahead for advertising on Amazon and the growth potential. And so when we surveyed marketers this August, 681 marketers responded, and we really wanted to understand who is managing these campaigns, where is budget coming from, and where are budgets being allocated across Amazon's ad product suite, and are tools being used to power some of the campaign management. So what we found is this is a very young business still, and with a lot of untapped markets. So this was a self-selected survey, but still just 49% of people who took an Amazon advertising survey said that they advertise on Amazon. So there's still quite a bit of room to grow here, obviously. And what's interesting, though, is that among those who said that they're advertising is that it's very, very new practice. So these are the percentages of people that have been advertising on these products, which are the search products, which are the kind of what everyone's heard of. So most people by far have only been advertising for 3 years or less. And this is sponsored products, the headline search ads, which are now called sponsored brands, and product display ads. And these are the product search ads that you see when you're on the marketplace. And the other thing we saw is the majority, 37%, are seeing, or the biggest response rate are only advertising up to 10% of their budgets on Amazon. What I think that's interesting, but what I also want to point out, though, is that you can see there's 10% of advertisers that are spending as much as 100%, 50 to 100% of their budgets on Amazon already. And so that means that Amazon is their primary marketing channel at this point. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this growth trends. And overwhelmingly, people who are advertising are saying they're going to increase their budgets. So we've got 80% of respondents said they are planning to increase their budgets in the next 6 to 12 months. So this is kind of the growth rate we're looking at for 2019. And you can see just a minuscule drop in the bucket are planning to lower their Amazon investment next year. So where are budgets coming from? This is really important. This is what we really wanted to try to get to understand. 55% of respondents said that they are pulling budget incrementally. They're adding it. It's not coming from other advertising lines. And of those that are shifting budgets, search is the most vulnerable. And I think there are a couple of things going on here. But traditional search, so we're talking about Google and Bing, because we can really think about Amazon as a product search engine, right? So there's a lot of product search ad opportunities on Amazon itself. That's followed up by display, non-digital ad budgets, so that's going to be TV, print, outdoor, and then paid social, and then last is other marketplaces in terms of from what's coming from non-advertising budgets. And the smaller the company, this is probably not that surprising, but the smaller the company, the more likely you're going to see budgets shifting rather than being added incrementally. And that's particularly true in the case of paid social. So that trend is also going to be interesting to watch.